Hello everyone, it's Elston here, and COVID has hit and I haven't cut my hair in a while, so the hood is up because, yeah, it's just a dire mess under here. In this video, I'm going to talk about the models I painted in February. So in this video, I've scripted it because I want to try and stay on point instead of rambling on for too long. Whether or not that pays off is something completely different, but we'll see. February is a short month. It's a month of recovery after the long month that is January. February is a month where we show appreciation to our partners in Valentine's Day, and also where we block anyone with partners if we are single. And it's also a month where you realise there's another 11 months before Christmas. When I started out February, I wanted to get as far as I could with another army. And I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to add to that total from the last update significantly. So I chose the army that probably has the most value, and also the army that's very close to my heart, the Night Lords. Now for everyone that didn't watch the channel back in the early days of Awkward Elston, the Night Lords were my first inspiration for getting into YouTube. The first video I uploaded was a showcase of a Contemptor Dreadnought. No sound, no music, just me holding up my phone trying to show off a model I'd just made and painted. This was the era when Horus Heresy was a blooming flower. The novels were getting into their stride. Forge World had just released the Black Tomes of Goodness, most expensive books ever bought, and a new type of Space Marines were being constructed. No longer were Space Marines the religious zealots, the righteous angels of death sent by the God Emperor to smite his foes. Space Marines started having character. The broody ones, the jokey ones, the psychotic ones, the proud ones. Much like people in our day-to-day lives, Space Marines were unique. Each one of them was unique in their own character, where they could do their own special things. This made them more relatable, not just superhuman demigods that could spit acids, gain the memory of their foes by consuming their flesh, and having super good hearing that it was nearly impossible to take a Space Marine off his balance. Now I bet some of you didn't realise Space Marines could do all that. It wasn't just Space Marines that were becoming more intriguing, their gear was becoming more expansive, with new weapons like the Volkite, like new melee weapons like the Paragon Blade. Even the tanks were getting some new / old models appear. For wargamers that have been around since the early editions of Warhammer and saw artwork from John Blanche and Jez Goodwin, the nostalgic images were suddenly being brought to life. The Sakura Tank, the Spartan, a Land Raider on steroids, even the old school Land Speeder, which is effectively a 2-seat hover chair with a couple of cannons attached to it. Combined with different marks of armour and some old models that have been revisited by Forge World, it was a glory day for Space Marines. You could make any kind of army you wanted to, and it made it very customizable. Also, the bad guys were in a bit of a grey area at this point in time. Good guys, bad guys, they were all part of the legions. You could quite happily have Ultramarines fighting alongside World Eaters. Iron Warriors versus Death Guard, Thousand Suns teaming up with Space Wolves. It wasn't exactly that fluffy, but it could happen. I dived headfirst into Heresy and found the YouTube community that shared my enthusiasm. Interesting point, if you didn't know, this is how I met Spud from the Chilling Wargamers and started my journey with helping grow the CWG community, and also getting to meet some people I never thought I would have met. So in a way, Heresy is the reason why I got into YouTube, and a reason why I have so many friends now, so to say it's close to my heart is a little bit of an understatement. Anyway, let's bring us back on track after that little trip down memory lane. As you may have seen from another video, I've already gathered a large amount of infantry for this army. They're all ready to go, they're just missing one thing: some armour. Now I've been preparing for this for a little while, gathering kits here and there, stockpiling Forge World parts for the magical day where I could bring this army to bear again. Wait, did you just say again? Yep, I had a Night Lords army before. It was something similar to this, but possibly a little bit bigger. The only downside with that army is I started with that army, and I developed my style. So it's a bit of a mismatch of my beginning learning how to paint Night Lords, progressing to the next step, and then the next step until I really got into my stride, and then they all started becoming uniform. But there's a lot of units that look like one colour, and there's a lot of units that look like another colour, so they're a bit of a patchwork army. Eventually cash was needed over the love of the army, so I sold them on. Luckily, I sold them to a friend who's just down the road, so I can go around there and see him whenever I want to. Whenever COVID allows, that is. Since I'm so good at remembering to press the record button and filming all the work that I do, I'm being sarcastic here by the way if you hadn't noticed, There's not a great deal I can show you in the process of all of this. It involved early starts, working late, working over the weekend, but I got to the end of February and it wasn't quite finished. The reason for this is I have a default template of how I want to paint these models, which involves a fair amount of steps. Since my OCD wouldn't let me skip a step, I had to do all of them. I'm usually pretty brutal when it comes to painting. If I can skip a step or do a 2-in-1, I'm looking at you contrast paints, I'll take it. However, with this army, I just couldn't do it, so I slogged on. 2 days after February, I decided to call it quits. There are things that I would change and bits I need to finish off, but for my own sanity, this army needed to get off my desk. With my own internal OCD putting pressure on me to get a video for this done, and me just wanting to paint something else, I called it a day on most of them. There are a few that I'm holding back on to do tutorials for, and just to finish up, but for the rest of them, it's done. That's it. This army is now going into storage until that magical day where lockdown is over and we can all meet up and I can play the game which got me into YouTube again. Now for the figures. If you're not familiar with this part, I'll briefly explain. My New Year's resolution is to not buy any more minis and see how much I could save. But I needed a way to keep track of this, and since it varied from month to month how much I would spend, I instead decided to put a value to the amount I painted. So however much I painted, I would count that as the retail value towards the total, and that is what I would assume I had saved on money. Granted, it's not the most effective way and it's not the most realistic, but it's the main way I can keep a kind of running total which will actually make any difference. It's kind of like keeping track of your weight for someone who's on a diet. Kind of similarities there. Last month we finished at £1,888.98. Really annoyed that wasn't 1888.88, but is what is. Last month as well, I forgot to add the Blood Bowl Snotling team. I did a challenge with Pickle and we managed to paint up an entire team in a day, and I forgot to add that to the total. So that comes in at £26. We'll add it to this month's just for clarity and simplicity's sake, but yeah, that is something I forgot to add in. Now let's see how much a Forge World Heresy army comes to. Starting off, we have 3 Leviathan Dreadnoughts. With all the weapons, their total comes in at £243. Then we have 4 Deradio Dreadnoughts. Quick side note, I printed a shield generator that I found on Thingiverse and put it to the top of this model, just to see because I was missing one of the top weapons. With this, I couldn't get the mental image of a sombrero out of my head, so I decided not to paint it. It's just a little bit too big. I may ever work on scaling it down to make it more kind of manageable, but we'll see. So one of these Deredios does not have a top weapon system. Now with all the Deredios, with all their weapon attachments, they all come in at £305. Then we have 2 Night Lords Contemptor Dreadnoughts with their weapon systems. They come in at £118. There's 3 Demos Pattern Predators. They all come rocking in at £189. We have a Sakura Omega tank, and that comes in at £90. We have a Sakura Punisher, which comes in at £84. We have 5 Land Raider Proteus. They're £100 each, so that comes in at £500. We have a Demos Pattern Vindicator, this comes in at £58. We have a Demos Pattern Command Rhino, this comes in at £58. We have a Demos Pattern Scorpius Whirlwind, this comes in at £60. We have 2 Legion Basilisks, they're £70 each, so this comes in at £140. We have a Saber Strike tank with all its armory, this comes in at £86, which is a shocking value because it's one of the smallest tanks. We have a Demos Pattern Rhino, this comes in at £42. We have 9 Legion Outriders, this comes in at £165. We have 16 jet bikes, all sold separately, they would come to £480. We have 6 Javelin Land Speeders, all in, all 6 of them come to £372. We have a Tarantula gun platform, that comes in at £24. We have 4 GW Land Speeders, these come in at £90 for the 4. Bringing the Night Lords total to £3,103. Now there are things I haven't included in this. The Night Lords upgrade sprues, the pintle mounted weapon sets which have been added to the tanks, and the 40 quid's worth of Night Lords decals, or decals as I was corrected the other day. Who said decals? Decals. 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 So there's a lot more value in there to say the least. And they've also been painted. So what value you would put on an army like this, I'd actually be intrigued to know what you would charge this at. If you had an entire Forge World army at retail value, but it was all entirely painted, what would you charge it at? Put it in the comments below, I'm intrigued to find out. If we add the Snotling team, we come in at a total for this month for £3,129. If we add that to our ongoing total, we come in at £5,017.98. As I said, I'm leaving some of these out for tutorials, so more will get added to this Night Lord's army, but that will happen in its own due time. If anyone wants to see a lightning tutorial, I'm planning on doing that, but I also have plans of painting a tank from start to finish. So if you would like to see that, please let me know in the comments below. I want to do it for one of the Sakura Venators. I haven't put that in the list because I haven't painted it yet, so I'm intending on doing a tutorial. I'm also working on a tutorial for how to do tank treads, so we'll go through that. So there's a fair few little things we can do for tutorials out of this lot. Once they're all done, we'll wrap them all up, and the Night Lords will be complete. Now that I've done these, I'm really going to slow down now. I said I was going to do that last month, but I've got to this month, otherwise I'm just not going to survive. Painting 3 armies in 2 months is a trigger for instant burnout. I still want to paint minis, but I want to do something in my own time. I want to paint for the enjoyment of painting, not because I want to complete an army. I'm also working on some models for Lion Tower miniatures. They've got an upcoming Kickstarter, hopefully in a couple of months' time, and I'm going to be doing some painting tutorials for that. However, I've also got the inspiration for doing some dioramas. I'm going to venture into some new territory and do some stuff I've never done before. I've got some cool ideas, so wait and see what happens. So March, I'm not painting a lot. I said I was going to do a painting competition with Grumpy Guy Gaming in March, but I'm just dead at the moment. I won't be able to do it, so Grumpy, if you watch this, we'll do it another month. Just this month, not going to survive it. So in March, I'm going to do whatever I want. However, in April, I'm going to give the decision over to you. On my community tab, there is a poll running for different armies which I've given you the option to choose what I should paint next. Go over, have a look, put your vote in. Whichever vote wins, I will paint that army next. I want to paint all of them, so I'm really not fussed which one wins. However, I thought it'd be fun to give back and see what you want to see, and that will directly influence what I paint. And that's me done for another month. There's not much more to say after this point, apart from I'm very tired. I'm going to go rest up now, and I'm going to go chill out. I'm going to go do some editing, I'm going to get some tutorials done, I'm going to paint some stuff I enjoy, and I'm generally going to chill out for a month. So hopefully you'll see some videos from me coming out very soon. But until then, I hope you're all doing well, be good, be safe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Till then, bye bye.